Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Grandstanders here on the Big on Thursday Night Live. My name is Scott Kerman. I'm your host, and I'm again joined by my esteemed panel. On the left, Uncle Joe McLaughlin. On the right, Russ Stevens, and our fourth member of the crew. Let me introduce Alan Camo. Alan, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanksgiving got in my way. I'm sorry I couldn't make it.
That's all right. I hope you guys all had a good Thanksgiving.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Great. So let's just get to it, boys.
Okay.
Starting off, of course, with the Patriots. The Patriots played last Sunday in Lambeau Field against the Green Bay Packers, losing 26-21. My observations of the game, I felt like they were never in it. I felt they got completely outplayed, especially in the first half where the Packers got almost 400 yards. Of course, the score, they had a chance at the end when Gronkowski, very close to completing a pass that would have put them ahead. But your observations, Alan?
Well, I just thought that, this time of the year, you go into Green Bay. I can't help but to think of the 1966 championship series there between Dallas and Green Bay there, where it was the tundra. People were suffering from frostbite. And Green Bay, being gracious as they were, turned off the heaters for the opposing team. It's a tough environment.
Yeah, it's a tough place to play.
I thought the Patriots held their own.
Yeah,
in a
look,
lot of ways.
as dominated as they were, as many questions as we had about their ability to compete against that kind of team, and Aaron Rodgers, they were still in it. They were 2 plays away from being in that game. So there are no moral victories, but you can't be that disappointed with that loss.
Yeah, I felt like the offense obviously did not move well in the first half, Joe. Second half,
They didn't move well in the third quarter either. They started slow in the second half, too. So both times they had to abandon the run game. And they were never really that close. They got within 2 twice, but neither time did they have the ball within 2.
That's right.
And both times Green Bay came down and answered when they got close.
Yeah,
so that's why I don't think it was as close as the final score kind of indicated.
Brett Favre, he came out a couple weeks ago and he says, Tom Brady's the best quarterback in football. We all know that Favre and Rodgers do not get along. There's something there. Because that's a joke. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in football, right?
I've never seen a quarterback play better than Aaron Rodgers has this year. I mean, no one, he's Tom Brady and Peyton Manning with legs.
Yeah. I mean, he's the reason they won that game, right? He's the reason the
I mean that third down play with 2 minutes left to go. It's like you got, what was it, 3rd and 5? Was that the call? Right?
3rd and 4.
3rd and 4. It's like, guess what? You think we're going to run this? No, we're going to.
You put it in a window like that, too.
Right, and it's like they couldn't stop them.
Yeah.
But I hate to talk about injuries, but not having Chandler Jones on the field, not having that pass rush, having Rodgers sit back there for 12 seconds does not happen if Jones is on the field.
You hope not.
Yeah. And, all right.
Well, the defensive line was taking that play off.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
They were in there for a little too long. They hadn't been relieved, and they were taking it off. And then at about the 10-second mark, they said, we better. We're looking bad. Let's
20
go.
yards out because he's like, are you guys serious? You're not going to get to the quarterback yet?
Right.
I mean, it was kind of embarrassing. I felt like the Patriots.
Will Falk was embarrassed, I think, and that's why he all of a sudden got to work.
Yeah, I don't understand why he's in any kind of passing situation. But, I mean, that it just doesn't work. But they need all their guns, I think, to win the Super Bowl, and I think Chandler Jones is an important part of that, right?
I would think so.
Yeah.
When is he due back?
Next couple of weeks,
Yeah,
probably.
He practiced this week, limited.
Okay, so as long as he'll be amped up to speed, I mean, that's really important. To come in and be cold, it was going to help.
But, Alan, you never know with the Patriots because, you might think the guy's going to come back in a week. Next thing you know, he's put on IR.
Jonas
Right.
Gray.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You're right. Or if you just don't have a good
Jonas Gray.
functioning alarm clock, you never play again.
Right.
So that's going with the running back situation. Right
There's
now,
got to be something more to that story than just
I
being
do
late one
too.
day.
Yeah, but the other thing is maybe he's just not that good. Maybe they
isn't.
had a game in where the offensive line opened up all these holes, and Belichick thinks that anyone could have run through those holes that game. We don't know.
I don't know.
But how do you find that out unless you
I don't know. There must be seeing something in practice.
But
I don't know.
It's a weird situation because you have a team that's, in theory, going to win the Super Bowl, right? And it's not really clear who's your running back, right? I mean, anybody can go on the field right now. Brandon Bolden. I mean, all of a sudden we have a Bolden sighting, and he's doing key rushes.
But that's the NFL nowadays. The good running backs are only on the bad teams.
Yeah, But all right, so to end this subject, who's going to be the starting running back come playoff time?
I think it's going to be Blunt.
Blunt.
Blunt was their running back last
Yeah.
playoff run, and he played pretty well.
And Jonas Gray may not even be on the 45
I think
man
Jonas Gray is the backup running back at this point in time.
Okay. All right, so I hate to always talk about the referees, sound like a Yahoo and stuff. I completely understand it. Don't talk about the referees and we're either
Right.
side. But I felt like the refereeing that game was terrible, and especially just the whole 12 men on the field when there was 11 men on the
Yeah,
field.
well-
Belichick complains and they changed the call. Do you feel like they affected the game in any way?
Absolutely, yeah. I think especially in the NFL, to me, they're dealing with it's not. I think it's incompetence. I think they cannot deal with the amount of stuff that they're supposed to be dealing with now on the field at any given time.
Right. I mean, that one.
They really didn't call many penalties, only in that first quarter, and that's kind of like a tone setter. Tell the guys how we're going to call it, and they called the 2 on.
Is it predetermined? You mean like they
Yes,
go in thinking,
let's show
well,
and let's
yeah.
what we're going to call for holding. We'll draw the line for them. What we're going to call for defensive pass interference. We'll do it in the first quarter, and then they never called another penalty all game long.
Yeah.
Right. So do you feel like after watching that game, obviously you're down, the Patriots have lost. Alan, do you feel like all of a sudden, okay, that's fine, we're going to see them again, it's going to be in the Super Bowl,
Oh,
and things will be
absolutely.
different?
This
I'd
sort of
love to.
reminds me of what, 2001, the first matchup against St. Louis, tight game, they could have won it,
24
and they
to 20.
lost
Right around
it.
Thanksgiving, too.
Right,
yeah.
and it's sort of like, okay, it's kind of a gut check sort of thing. You kind of reevaluate everything, and you're like, hey, we can hold
Yeah.
our own with these boys.
They can compete with the best.
Absolutely.
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 And I would be remiss in, and not mentioning that the Aaron Dobson factor. We have a
amazing.
second-round pick who's the most pathetic athlete I've seen, and just finally he makes gets on the field again
Yeah.
after being 10 weeks not
Right.
even on the 45-man roster. He goes out for one pass.
And pulls a hammy.
Pulls a hamstring.
Yeah.
Not like just pulling a hamstring, guys. He acts like he's literally been shot.
Right.
Oh.
Marcus Smart style.
Yeah, Marcus Smart style, where he's going to end up being taken off in a
Right.
wheelchair and giving us hopefully
Yeah.
a thumbs up that
That
Aaron's
way he's
gonna be
guaranteed to
fine.
get paid the third year of his contract.
Well, you know what's amazing is you take a look at Green Bay, and they draft receiver after receiver who pans out in the NFL. I think Belichick should hire the guys from Green Bay
Yeah, right.
to pick his
I know,
receivers for him. They should collaborate. Like, we'll pick your defensive linemen and you pick our receivers, because he can't pick a receiver to save his life.
Yeah, that was pathetic. I mean, do you notice that was just a pathetic,
Oh, yeah.
Horrible.
he's never going to see the
Brandon
field again, right?
Taylor-
That's for
Taylor
sure.
Price.
I mean,
He's done.
and it's established that the Patriots cannot draft a wide receiver.
Horrible at it.
And every second-round pick the Patriots draft is terrible, too. So they
Okay.
might as well just trade it off.
Guys, let me ask you this. I mean, Edelman looked pretty beat up from that game last week. I don't know what the actual injuries are that he had. But if it's not Edelman, does that mean we see more Amendola?
You
Yeah,
have
it's
to, right?
It's a great question. Yeah, I
They
would think
have
so.
no alternative.
Well, they've got Josh Boyce sitting there on the.
Oh, my God, yeah.
That'll inspire confidence, right?
He's on the
Holy
he's not even
smokes.
he's not even on the 53.
I think he's on the practice. He's on the practice
oh, he's
squad.
on the
Yeah,
practice
he's on the
squad.
practice squad. So we could have a Josh Boyce sighting.
Which
He'd
is
have to
Sunday.
get signed to the 53 to
Right.
even make the field.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
it's a mess.
but again, that's a good point. One of these guys, because Amendola only had 14 snaps last game,
Yeah.
so he's not even in the system right now as far as offensive plans. But like we talked about last show, somebody in the wide receiving core, other than Edelman and LaFell, need to step up, or they're going to be able to be defensed in the playoffs.
I agree.
These guys are smart. These coaches that end up making the playoffs, they can figure it out. So, well, we'll see. Moving on to the Boston Red Sox. We can't talk of the Boston Red Sox until we talk about the guy who's not on the Boston Red Sox right now, and that is Johnny Boy, John Lester. Apparently, he's saying that he is going to make a decision tomorrow, Friday, December 5th, what team that he's going to pick. That's what he has said. Okay, so what is
Who
he
do
going
you
to
think he's going to?
He's going to the Boston Red Sox. I just decided that, I think he...
Is that your head or your heart
No,
talking?
I think it's actually both. I think that he's going to get he's working these other teams to get a price, and he's going to let the Red Sox have the last word. If the Red Sox want to match it or come very close, he's a Boston Red Sox. So I'm going to say right here now on Thursday Night Live that next week on this show, John Lester will be a Boston
From your
Red
mouth
Sox.
to God's
All
ears.
right.
How delicious is the fact that you've got Lucchino and Theo bidding against each other
Right.
for John Lester? I mean, they have got to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Lucchino's got to be just in this emotionally at this point.
With other people's money.
With other
Yeah,
people's
but
money,
there's a
right?
lot of-
yeah.
I mean, all right, so let's go around the room. Joe.
I think he's going to end up with Chicago.
Okay, Chicago. All right.
I hate to say it, I think Epstein's just going to empty the bullets and go for Lester.
All right, so Alan has Chicago.
I said last week, I still maintain, I don't think he's coming. I did predict Sandoval coming, and I also predicted
Which I'm impressed
Lester
about. Yeah,
was
which,
not coming.
You know, and of course we'll talk about that next. All right, so Lester, but where's he going?
I think it could be other. I think it could be
Really?
someone else,
All right.
yeah, easily.
Yeah, someone.
If they're hanging
to be
out
named
this long,
later.
they're looking for the most money, and if someone really wants him, they're going to swoop in and offer him $150 million, and he's gone.
The Yankees' MO is always talk to
Right.
everyone else.
That's right.
Whatever the best they can
Absolutely
get,
right.
come to us and we'll give you more.
Right.
I
But
don't
when
see
they
him
ride-
playing for the Yankees. I don't
That'll
think
be
he has
brutal.
that personality, and I don't think he wants to do that but we'll see. All right, we need to talk about the two fat guys that we signed, and I will never mention. Of course, Pablo Sandoval is fat, and that's established. And that's the one thing that bothers me about this whole thing. They act like being fat is a permanent condition for which you cannot correct. I mean, Pablo Sandoval can lose weight, right? It's possible that he gets into shape and gets some.
He gains weight during the year. That's the most stunning thing, that he actually will put on weight during the baseball
He
season.
looks good in spring training and
Yep.
goes downhill from there, but not his performance. His performance gets better as the season wears on, as he gets to the postseason, then he becomes David Ortiz Jr.
Do you like the signing?
I think he's an El Guapo waiting to happen. I
Okay.
think he's a Rich Garces waiting
All
to
right, so
happen.
you just think the weight
I
problem is
just-
going to be ultimately
I
what
think it's going to be his
costs him. All right,
downfall.
I think it's as much for marketing as it is for performance. I think Ortiz is going to leave, and they need another charismatic figure, Ortiz-like, and you've got the Panda waiting in the wings for that.
Exactly. I think Russ nails he's right there 2 years from now when Ortiz
Yeah,
hangs
he's
him
your
up.
future DH.
And you're right, but I'm having a problem now with, it's like the old time Red Sox. Everybody they seem to be signing or talking about, they're saying, well, he'll end up playing first base or DH. There's like
Right.
12 guys right now on the Red Sox.
Mr. Dell.
Yeah, right. Mr. Dell, Will Brooks, Alan Craig,
Oh, yeah.
Napoli, Nava, Ramirez, Sandoval. They can't all play first and DH, right? There's only two
Right.
positions. Are we not in need of athletes at some point?
Well, a lot of these guys aren't going to be here come
Right.
opening day next year.
I agree with
Yeah.
Joe. Yeah, they're going to dump a bunch
Well,
of
let's
these
go.
guys.
Let me
Like
ask
5
you
of the
this.
6 you just named, I bet you were gone.
Which right now, of the players they have, what's your ideal outfield for the Red Sox?
Well, I mean, I think that it's going to be obviously Ramirez in left. It's going to be, I think, Castillo in center, and I think Victorino is in right.
I've got the same thing
Yeah,
too.
I mean, and I think that Cespedes is obviously gone.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay, but where's Mookie go?
He's
the most dynamic young
that's
player.
his favorite
Oh my
subject.
God, I don't
Where
even
does
know.
Mookie
You know,
go? He's the most
I know
dynamic
where he
young
goes.
player.
He goes to second base, and we get rid of Dustin Pedroia.
know.
I'm like, oh God, no! Here comes everything.
You're gonna get struck by
The
lightning
world's
in about
falling
30
down.
seconds.
No, right. I mean, where does Mookie Betts go? That's a good question because you probably look back and say, well, why do we sign Castillo now? That doesn't seem like a good
look, I
signing as of
suppose
now.
you can't count on Shane Victorino to play
Yeah,
more than
Shane
35
might
games. So
be the odd man out.
Mookie would probably play 100 games in that outfield if that's the outfield, it's one way or another.
Mookie could not play right field in Fenway. He just doesn't have the experience in the outfield.
You can move those guys
I
around.
think
But
he's
center
so
field he can
athletic,
play. But
yeah,
But
he's
you
he's
can-
electric.
how about Castillo in right?
You have to play Victorino if he's healthy. He's getting paid $13 million a year. He is Victorino. He's a great player,
Yeah, I
actually. I
agree.
mean, obviously, we saw him in 2013. So, Castillo, what is he going to end up in the minors? Making
No,
12
they'll have
million?
they'll get 4 outfielders into the mix. That 4 outfielders isn't the problem. 6 outfielders is the problem right
Yeah.
now.
All right. So who's
9 or 10 outfielders.
who
There's a
goes?
real problem.
who goes? I'm going to run down some guys. Who goes? Alan Craig. Is he with the Red Sox?
Gone.
Gone.
How do you get rid of him?
You'll pay the
Yeah.
contract.
Okay,
You'll
okay.
get something to
All
take.
right.
JBJ. What is he? Where's JBJ sitting? I think he's sitting in Pawtucket.
Throw in on a trade.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
He's trade bait.
Throw
Absolutely.
in on a trade.
Okay. Mr. Dell. I think he's
You know
gone.
what?
Yeah, he's just going to get his unconditional release.
Okay, so you think Mr. Dell is released?
Yeah, or again, another throw
Or
in.
Pawtucket?
Yeah, I think they got a bunch of
He's
dogs
a
and cats
throw-in.
he'll throw into
Okay,
deals.
Cespedes, so we all.
Oh, he's
Cespedes is
definitely
gone.
trade
But
bait.
he's a
Gone, right?
keystone to a
Trade bait.
deal.
Absolutely.
He goes for a pitcher.
Yeah.
Cueto of Cincinnati. I read the Globe
Third
mentioning
starter.
that.
Guy who I just despise, and it's personal. I understand his backstory.
I
It's
know what's
wonderful and
coming.
stuff. It's Daniel Nava. I just seriously, my lungs and my liver, all my intestinal organs just hurt and pain when I watch him play. Is Daniel Nava on the team next year?
Probably.
Probably,
Inexpensive depth.
Because they just tendered him, so he's going to end up making $2 million
Yeah.
a year. I mean, which is like he won an instant lottery ticket or something. I mean,
Inexpensive
but he's going to be on
And
the
it's,
team.
They
it's
like
like a
him.
lottery ticket for the Red Sox, too. He'll be the cheapest guy on the team.
Right. He can play like 3 positions.
What about Mr. Holt?
Yeah, see, then all of a
stay
sudden you
him.
get a fine position for Holt. All right, so who's untouchable in the Red Sox? Because we are in, this is the hot stove league.
Right.
Anybody could be traded, so it's not a reach. I say this
Right.
about the Dustin Pedroia, and we laugh and
Ortiz.
stuff. But Dustin Pedroia could be traded.
Sure.
That's not.
You would have said John Lester could never be traded a year ago.
Yeah,
Who
right.
do you consider to be untouchable, or who do you think is untouchable?
Who do you think? Who do you guys consider?
Pedroia and
untouchable?
Ortiz.
I actually think there's only one. I think it's Bogarts. Is to me the only untouchable guy. That's the only guy on that team I wouldn't trade.
Right, but they're not.
But
they're not going to touch Ortiz. I mean, meaning he's not going to be traded.
Right.
Or
Yeah, he's not. He's a given.
yeah.
yeah, because
And I think you throw in Vasquez. I mean, they're gonna go hook, line, and sinker with Vasquez, and I think they should.
Yeah, I don't think
I
they'll
think
move him. But they
Vasquez
would
has
trade him. If
potential.
somebody that was desperate for Vasquez and you get a second starter in that deal, you'd probably do it.
I just like the way he handles pitches. He's an impressive catcher.
and then I have to bring up Napoli. I think Napoli, he's making $16 million a year, and I remember during the season, I was like, he's making $16 million a year. He's phoning this in. The Red Sox are watching this. Again, we have 36 first basemen currently.
Right.
If they could get a deal for Napoli, even as a throw-in,
Yeah, what would you do if you had to pay Craig's contract to get rid of him or get rid of Napoli and stick Craig at first? What would you do?
No, Craig is such a question mark. I would.
You couldn't count on him.
No
Yeah,
way. It's
probably right.
Yeah.
He might have just hit
He's
bottom.
shown us nothing in his time
Yeah.
here. And I saw
a
so
shame
little
that
of
that's
his
what
National League
happens.
career.
I'm just worried that it's going to be the whole James Loney syndrome. That James Loney comes to the Red Sox.
Worst Red Sox I ever saw in my life.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, he was.
Remember?
He was
Do
not
you remember
good.
the James Loney
Yeah.
month or
Hey,
two?
wait a minute. I remember Jack Clark.
Yeah, it was. But James Loney is a situation where James Loney came to the Red Sox with a pretty good reputation. Of course, none of us really saw him play. He played for the Dodgers
Right,
and stuff.
and-
We watch him play, and we're like, he's the worst player I've ever
Then he
seen.
hit like
strike out
310
every
last
time.
year.
Yeah,
And then he hit 310 last year.
But for a number of years, and then he ended
Right.
up getting a big contract. I
Yeah.
mean, and then killing the Red Sox.
Right.
Right.
If you
Oh,
remember,
he was brutal
just,
last year.
Yeah,
against him,
and I don't want that to end up with the Alan Craig that all of a sudden we give him away for nothing. Because we did. I mean,
Right.
we ended up, obviously getting rid of Lackey to get Craig.
Right.
But
So
Scott, when you
But
think
we
of
did get the
first
Nelson kid,
baseman-
who looks like a good third starter, even though he can't
Kelly.
go Kelly.
Yeah, yeah.
More than 5-6 innings.
It's the whole Euclid factor. Remember, he could play third, he could play first, he could play third, he could play first. And, Euclid disintegrated, and, you could have had your chance at some pretty impressive first basemen. So, I think Napoli's totally expendable.
Now-
Absolutely.
Yeah, guys that I'm hearing possibly, Buchholz could go. That would, to me, would make me very happy. I just don't like, Buchholz as far as a competitor. He's not a guy who steps up. The whole World Series fiasco with will Clay pitch or not, and it
Yeah.
was that was it. He
You look at
completely
the-
soured me on
right.
Clay Buchholz. Could Clay Buchholz go?
Oh, absolutely. But
Absolutely.
who wants him? Who in the
Yeah,
right
somebody
mind
would
really
need to take
wants
a shot
them?
at him.
See, but I think some teams.
There's someone out there that really still got great stuff. He's just too
frail.
namby-pamby. I
although
don't know.
for a
Well.
mid-market team, you guys sign for $8 or $9 million a year. He's attractive.
How many years does he have left on his deal? Doesn't he have a few?
I don't know,
Probably a
3,
couple.
4, something
Yeah,
like that. somewhere.
so he'd be attractive for that point because he's,
Yeah.
under
See, this
their
is
control.
what bothers me is that Lester is your big, bulky, tough farm boy.
Right.
And Buchholz is what? Your world-class cheetah athlete sprinter who
Yeah,
Yeah.
the wheels come off.
tread
Yeah.
water in a garden hose.
But it's weird because he's been a guy who's been on the Red Sox for now, 7 years, but you don't feel like he can pitch in Boston. You know what I mean?
Right,
But
right.
that's what he's doing.
yeah.
You know, and he's pitching in Boston. He actually has 2 World Series rings. I mean,
Sure.
if you think about that.
Yeah.
So we'll see. The Red Sox are always interesting, but now we've got to move on to another winter sport, which we didn't get to really last week, was the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics are having a little trouble winning games. They're currently 5-10.
Right.
Well, they did win last night against the Pistons, but before that they hadn't won in 3 weeks, other than beating the 76ers, which really isn't winning at all, right?
Right.
That's
Yeah.
just a joke. Their biggest problem, of course, is who's going to take the last shot. And since before yesterday, it was Rajon Rondo. And is that what's wrong with the Celtics right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I was glad to see last night they decided Sullinger was the guy because they've tried Green, who's an abomination in that role. He doesn't want to be in that role. Right. And Rondo now routinely avoids the ball in the fourth quarter because he doesn't want to shoot foul shots.
Right.
So he doesn't want, you cannot have your go-to guy be a guy who doesn't want to go to the foul line in the last 15 seconds of a game.
All his other stats go right down the toilet, too,
In the
in the fourth quarter.
quarter.
If you look at his fourth quarter stats, his shooting percentage, not just his free throws,
Right.
but his field goal shooting percentage is like 28%. or
Our
something.
best player is our worst player in the fourth quarter.
His free throw percentage is 30%.
It's ridiculous.
It's really,
painful.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
not even middle school. If there
No.
was in middle school, they'd be like, you know, kid, you need
Yeah.
to go to second grade or something.
What was Will Chamberlain's?
Yeah, well, no.
No, he was up around 50%.
So, which, you know, they have a picture today of Rondo having breakfast. I don't know if you've seen this with Kobe Bryant. The rumors have it that he could possibly go, because Kobe Bryant wants Rondo, that he could go. I'm hearing rumors, 2 first-round picks and Steve Nash's contract
Really?
for Rondo. So, is Rondo going to be traded before the end of the season?
I would have said no 2 weeks ago. I was saying, you know, they should, if they got a big man, they could compete for the 8th spot. And now I don't believe it can happen. And if that's the case, I'd probably move on from Rondo.
And that's another step back, right? I mean, obviously that's another
Yeah.
step back, and you know, Celtics fans going to take that another step back. I mean,
That Kobe rumors, I like that. Kobe never met a pass first guy he didn't like.
but also, you know, we talk about the whole rumor to Cleveland. You know, LeBron, if he decides that you know he needs Rondo and he doesn't want,
I would be
Irving.
Kyrie Irving's chauffeur for the next 2 years of my life.
Can you
If
believe?
you could trade Rondo
Oh,
for Irving,
my
I would
God.
basically say,
He's
Kyrie,
worth the price of admission,
Yeah,
just
I'm your
himself.
guy. I'll drive you wherever you need to go around town.
Absolutely. You know, you made a great. You made a great point 2 weeks ago. You know, after watching the game and being there last night, the Celtics are soft. They are so soft. They don't have one guy that's tough. I mean, they get pushed around.
Yeah.
Nobody retaliates. I mean, that's probably, to me, that's the acquisition that's most important right now, is a tough guy.
Totally agree. Yeah, somebody at the rim who just makes guys think twice about coming at him.
Right? Who sets picks, right?
right.
The Kendrick Perkinses of the
No,
world.
don't get me started on Kendrick
Yeah, right.
Perkins. I
You know,
still
right?
don't know why they traded him.
Yeah, that-
I have no
again-
clue.
Yeah, I mean, right? Is that the first missing piece? Is and we could use those Pistons have 2 of them. They got Greg Monroe and that Andre
Yeah.
Drummond. I'd take either of them. Those guys were
Absolutely.
fantastic last
Absolutely.
night. And there was one point that Kelly Olynyk got pushed around by Drummond, and the next time down, Drummond just basically punched him in the face
Abused
almost.
him, yeah.
And nobody retaliated in the Celtics. I'm like, well,
Dave Cowens was probably, his red hair turned white last night watching that.
yeah, you know, I mean, right? Is that where you start? You need a big man. You need a tough guy who can start from there, right? And you know, and Rondo's not, and Rondo might be able to bring that to you from draft picks.
Well, with I mean, you drafted Rondo's replacement already. So you look around and you say, we've got a backup point guard, and we've got our next point guard already on the team.
Right, yeah.
Right.
And now all right. Look, they're 5-10. They're going to be heading to another lottery. They're losing a lot of close games. Is Brad Stevens a good coach?
It's hard to evaluate him given the mess they're putting out on the floor. Like, you know, Kelly Olynyk is your center.
But here's the thing. Coming in and out of timeouts, defensive plays coming out of timeouts, offensive plays coming out of timeouts, it's a mess out there. It looks like a goat rodeo. You got guys running around, balls are climbing up guys' arms, taking their last shots. There's something they're not doing around those timeouts strategically that's sitting well with that team.
Their fourth quarters and their first quarters just cannot be compared. The other night they almost had 50 points in the first quarter
42
on the
right.
road.
Yeah.
And then In the fourth quarter, they probably got a dozen.
But you remember Doc coming out of timeouts? You could count, when Doc was the coach, you could
was
count
snap,
on those
snap.
plays. They were going to get a good shot off coming out of timeouts.
Oh yeah, he'd be like, we hide one guy in the rafters, and he's going to end up
Yeah.
taking the shot. Oh my God,
And
he
it
was
always
brilliant.
happened. And so, no, Stevens
Everyone
is probably
executed.
a very,
Everyone went to where they were
Stevens is
supposed to.
probably a great coach, but the one thing that I'm seeing is coming out of timeouts, they have no idea what they're doing out on there.
But Stevens seems to be as soft as the team is. He's a soft, gentle guy. Doesn't seem to be yelling at anybody. And I just don't. I know this is a young team, and maybe he's that kind of
Sure.
coach. But how long is the the masses going to wait for this team to I mean, we're going to just keep on rooting for them to lose? Because I find myself already doing that, and
Yeah, that's not good
Yeah,
for the
it's not
soul.
good. And look, I think they're 11th in the Eastern Conference, so they're not making the playoffs.
No.
No. So now, why are we watching the rest of the season?
But that strategy hasn't worked for Philadelphia. Look at them. 4 years into that lose every
Right.
game strategy, and they're still the worst team in the league. Last night they had to do over because they were shooting at the wrong basket. They were literally, the whole team was.
But is it really?
CYO.
Is that the wrong expression, tanking it? Because I don't think the players in themselves, they're not
I
trying
don't think
to
the
miss.
coach is tanking it. I think the GM is just is starving the team of talent. That's really what it is.
Right, but aren't you? I mean, then the talent that you do have there, you're not establishing any kind of winning program. So really, I mean, what are you trying to prove there?
Right.
I mean, how many number one picks
Right.
can you have? I mean, if they're not developing.
Well, aren't you? You probably are creating sort of this poisonous losing culture. If you're losing that many games year after year, how do you get out of that mindset?
Yeah, once you've been on a team like that for a year or two, then you just get buried by that.
I think that's right.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, so we're done with the Celtics, and now we're actually new territory for the Grandstanders. We're going to the Bruins. All right, so I'm going to take my teeth out, and so I can feel all at ease while talking about the Bruins. Bruins, I think they sit 5th or 6th in the conference. They've lost 4 out of 5. It's not pretty right now. Are they? They've brought up their number 1 pick.
Pasternak.
Yeah, Pasternak. Is that kind of saying that we're in rebuild mode?
I'd like to see them go into more rebuild mode and bring up some more kids. Give them some playing time. They're not going to get better down in Providence. You get better playing against better opponents.
I think Chiarelli.
got nothing to
I agree. I
lose.
think Chiarelli has the hardest GM job in town right now because he's got a window that's closing on him. The Celtics window is closed, and now they're trying to open it. Obviously, the Red Sox have no salary cap. They can open that window as wide as they want. In the Patriots are the Patriots. I think Chiarelli's job is really tough. He's now seeing that window close, and he's got a salary cap to deal with. It could be a tough road for the
He doesn't
Bruins.
want to give up that team that won the cup, but he's
doesn't.
going to have to.
He's going to need to.
So out of the 4 GMs, who's on the biggest hot seat right now? Would it be Chiarelli?
I would think so. Yeah, I would think so.
And then Ainge next?
No. He looks like he has a lifetime job,
Oh, he
doesn't
does? Yeah, you
I don't
really
know.
think it's...
He's tight with ownership.
Yeah,
Yeah, so, and then, Charrington, I mean, I guess,
probably
Charrington,
second. Yeah,
second.
and then Belichick just...
As long as he wants the
He
job.
goes on.
that's exactly right.
All right, but
Yeah.
if you think about it, a lot of stability in upper management in the sense that we can't clearly identify that someone is truly on the hot seat.
When
We're
you've
kind
had the run that we have had over the last 10, 12 years, that's you're gonna get stability, right?
Yeah, right, right. But so, all right, so the Bruins, are we even talking the cup, or is that just a pipe dream?
That's a pipe dream.
Rask would have to get so hot that he'd almost light himself on
He'd
fire
have to
and
have
get through
a
the playoffs.
a Ken Dryden, Gump Worsley type playoffs.
Exactly.
But
Which has happened.
But the Bruins fans, they love their players.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's the nature of the Bruins fans.
Right, so,
I mean, that's just them, the gallery guards and all those.
yeah, I
right?
mean, their jerseys, so they're not going to be too happy with a sell-off, right?
No.
Oh, no.
No.
Oh, no.
So
No,
you're
I
going to
don't think
really
it's
going to
gonna
have to
happen.
go with the ship here, right? The sinking ship.
They're going to ride this thing as far as they can ride it, but it's not going to be a pretty ending, I don't think.
But when Bruins fans turn on a guy, they turn on them.
Right, right. But, I mean, we're not going to see Chara going at the deadline, right?
No,
Right.
no.
No.
I don't
so-
think they're going to be sellers at the deadline. I don't. They're going to be buyers, right? That's.
Let me ask you
Yeah,
this,
they will
guys.
be.
Is Tuukka Rask lost a little bit of his edge?
Seems like a little
Well,
bit
I
this
don't
year,
think
right?
Or is
he's
that
as
the
hungry
defense?
as he was.
Yeah, well, you know,
Maybe he's a little overwhelmed too. He doesn't quite have the defense there that he used to have.
Chara is too important, right?
Yeah, maybe that's
Yeah,
probably.
Chara's
you're missing
Yeah.
not just Chara, but Boychuk from, say, a year ago.
Yeah.
It's true.
So that went quick, guys. Another episode in the can.
Can I get one quick one in?
What's that?
You guys gonna watch a championship on Sunday?
The MLS?
The Revolution.
The Revolution?
Yeah.
Yeah, I will watch
Oh,
that.
jump
yes.
right on that
Absolutely.
bandstand.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then, yeah, instead of the duck boats, they'll be on swan boats. Well, I want to thank you guys
Thank
for
you, Scott, Joe,
coming on again to the
Russ.
show. It was fun. That's another episode of the Grandstanders here on Thursday Night Live. Please join us again next Thursday night for another episode. I want to thank the crew for all your great work, and have a great night.
Very nice, guys.